How can you use ChatGPT to analyze your qualitative data in a way that people will trust what you found? This is what I'm going to help you to do. OpenAI has provided a new model called GPT-4o, and it's doing a marvelous job in analyzing qualitative data. In this presentation, I'm going to give you all the information that you need, a very comprehensive information in terms of how to make sense of your data, how to prompt the system so that you'll be able to get information that you need for you to make sense of your data. I'm also going to give you information about how to prompt the system to give you graphs and also illustrations like word cloud to help you to make sense of your data. It can also provide you explanation about the illustration if you ask for it. I'm going to provide you ways of getting PowerPoint slides based on the findings that you get from the system. Sometimes it's very difficult for people to trust what you found when you're doing a qualitative study, especially when you're using a software. And in this presentation, I'm going to show you step by step how to analyze your data using GPT-4o. That will help you to provide a comprehensive information in terms of how you analyze your data so that people will believe what you found. In this presentation, I'm going to provide you how to prompt the system to get information about the themes that you need, how to prompt the system to extract relevant information that is connected to the themes that you have generated, and also how to prompt the system to get PowerPoint slides so that you'll be able to create a very engaging presentation of your findings. So I hope this presentation is going to be really helpful for you. If you have any question, feel free to put in the comment section. I'll be happy to address them for you. In the description of the video, I'm going to also provide you a link to some of the prompts that I use for this presentation. So you can also use the same or similar prompts for you to get the information that you need and also make people believe what you found. And that's what my goal is, to help you to use the system in a way that is ethical, in a way that will be useful for your audience in terms of the information that you're going to get from the system. So let's start this process. We're going to use GPT-4o, that's the new model, and it's doing a marvelous job in analyzing qualitative data. And my presentation will be based on thematic analysis, how to extract significant information from the data, develop goals and themes to help you to address your research question. So that's how we're going to do. And then using an AI tool like ChatGPT to help you to reach your destination in terms of getting your themes that will help you to address your research question that you have. Before we start, I want to give you some background information about the data that we're going to use. And also, if you want to get access to the data, I can put the link in the description section so that you'll be able to use it and practice. So the data I'm going to use, as you can see here, I have 5 participants. They are healthcare providers. It's about asking participants about the solutions and the causes of burnout. And these are their responses. As you can see, participant 1, I have the person's demographic information and also their responses to questions related to burnout, causes, and also the solutions. It's a very short interview. This is generated for the purpose of demonstration. That's a little background of the data that we're going to use to help us understand how to use ChatGPT to help you to develop themes and address your research question and also present your findings. The first thing that I want us to think about is it's so important for you to provide a very good context. If you want to get rich information from this system like ChatGPT and any other model, you have to be very clear about the context. Let the system understand the kind of data that you are giving to it to analyze and any information that will help the system to really provide you rich information. The first step, as you can see here, this is the document I'm going to share with you, right? So this first step is to provide a context and making sure that ChatGPT understands your study, including what you want to find out, which is the purpose of the study. First step is to let the system know more about your study, right? The more the system knows more about the study, the better the output that you're going to get, or the richness of the information that you're going to get, right? So let's start with this conversation with ChatGPT. So make sure that you choose GPT-4o, which is the new model that OpenAI has generated. The first information that we want to give to the system is given the context. So as you can see here, I'm saying I'm about to inform the system that I plan to explore the causes and solutions of burnout from the perspective of primary healthcare physicians in the US. Act as a qualitative data analyst tasked with conducting thematic analysis. Before I provide you the data to analyze, is there anything I should clarify? This prompt is so good. I've given the system brief information about my study, what I want to find out. I'm also giving the system a role, right? The role is that it's now a qualitative data analyst, right? And then describe what exactly it's going to do. Tasked with conducting thematic analysis. The system understands thematic analysis, or you can even define thematic analysis to the system so that it will be able to understand. And before I provide you data, is there anything that I have to clarify? Asking the system if it has any question about the study to get context, to get rich information about the background of the study so that it will be able to help you in a meaningful way. So now we click on enter and let's see what you're going to get. So now it wants you to clarify some issue. I think there are about 7 things that it wants you to clarify. The first one is about objective. What is the objective or the purpose of the study? And how did you collect your data? And participant demographics and interview questions that you ask participants, transcription and coding, questions about that. It's very important to answer all these questions so that a system will know more about your study. If you don't know the answer, that's fine, but try as much as possible to address all the questions. Because of time, I may not be able to answer everything, but I just want to show you when I did it previously, these are the question the system asked me, and I provided my answers, right? It asked me about my research question. I have 2 research questions. One is about the causes of burnout, and the second about solutions of burnout. And I provided that data collection method was interview, and there are 5 participants. And also, in terms of demographic, I refer it to the data. That demographic information is already in the data, and that I will be providing soon. It's also asking about the format of the data. And then I said the transcript, there are 5 in total. It's asking me whether I have a framework, any coding framework. Let's say you want to use your conceptual or theoretical framework to help you to analyze your data, or you want to use it as a way of a lens to help you to analyze, we can provide that information. But I don't plan to use any framework or existing themes because I'm using thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is allowing the data to speak to you. You are generating themes and code based on what you found in the data. So why I said, no, I don't have a framework or themes in mind. And then it's also talking about confidentiality. You just have to make sure that you have taken any identifiable information from the data, right, before you upload it into the system. It's very important to protect participant identity. So I told the system I did that. And it also asked me whether I'm using NVivo or Atlas TI. I said, no, I'm not using data, but I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me to analyze my data. And it's asking me whether I have any expected outcome. And I said, I hope to arrive at themes that represent what participants said and also address the 2 research questions that I have. And also, it asked me about my timeline. I said, I want that information as soon as you can, right? And then lastly, I provided additional considerations. Treat this tool as like your research assistant, providing all the rules and best practices to the system so that you can get the information that you want, right? So see how I have 7 rules that I've provided to the system. The first rule is that it has to make sure that it has bracketed all pre-knowledge about burnout and preconceptions about participants. All biases, you have to set them aside so that it will not adversely affect the participant and how it is making sense of the data. The same way when we are analyzing qualitative data, right? We have to practice bracketing, reflecting on our past experience and the knowledge about the subject matter and put them aside so that we allow the data to speak to us. That's what we want the system to do. So you see how you are using the same principle of analyzing your qualitative data and providing those principles to the system so that to be aware of the rules of analyzing qualitative data. And the second one is to make sure that the calls and teams generated best reflect the concepts extracted from the data. The third one is to make sure that the calls and team generated address their research question. The fourth one is to make sure that assets to be extracted are solely from the data I provide to you. This one is very important. This one, you are letting the system know that any information that you're going to generate should be solely from the data I'm giving you. You shouldn't go beyond the data that I've provided to you, right? And the last one is to make sure that each code and team should be between 2 to 5 words, right? So you are just instructing that in the codes that you're going to develop, it should be in between 2 to 5 words. It shouldn't be too long labeled. These are the rules that you are giving to the system so that it will be able to provide you information that are consistent with how you should analyze your qualitative data. So you see how you can train a model to do things that you want them to do for you by providing them best practices and also the rules related to the tasks that you want them to do for you. So I'll copy that, and then you copy after answering the question, you go back to ChatGPT, and then you put your answers here and then enter. So you see here it's saying memory updated. The wonderful thing about ChatGPT is that it has a function where it will remember the conversation you had with it. There's a way that you can get access to the memory. So when you go to your account, there's a place where you can go to, I think you go to settings. When you go to personalization, you see the memory and manage, right? And then you can see all the things that it remembers about you. You can clear the memory if you want the system to forget. But you see how the system has updated the memory. This means that it will always remember the information that you have provided to it so that it will take into consideration the information that you have provided to it. And whenever it is processing the data that you have uploaded. So we are ready to proceed the thematic analysis. P provide a transcript. So it's asking you to now provide the transcript. So I go and look for my transcript, bring in my transcript here. I can just select and drag and drop, or you can click on this one and then upload the transcript. So now I have my 5 transcript here. And then let me see the prompt that I want to provide to the system. I think I have the prompt here. I say here are the transcript. So let's go back to ChatGPT and say here are the transcript. Enter. So it's just showing to you here that we have all the 5 transcripts here. It's telling you what exactly it's going to do. That's so good, right? It's telling you that these are the actions I'm going to take. Step 1, initial coding. I'll start by reading through the transcript to identify recurring phrase, concept, and sentiment that relate to the causes of burnout and method to reduce it, right? Related to the research question. Then it will go ahead and create themes and it will validate the themes. Same way about thematic analysis, right? So it says, let's begin. So it has generated information about the causes of burnout. You can see that it has generated 5 causes based on the data. And then the solutions here, 5 solutions. Now let us refine these initial codes into themes. So you see how these are initial codes, then it's now reviewing and then it refine it. And now we have 5 themes for the causes of burnout and then 5 solutions. It's asking you, will you like to proceed with these themes or do you have any modifications or additional points to consider before we finalize them? This one is very important. You see how you are now working with the system. You don't have to take everything the system is provided to you. You are working closely with. So it can make mistakes. So it's very important for you to, make sure that the information generated is really addressing the research question or the themes that are generated and really addressing the research question. If you have any suggestions, you can ask the system to make an adjustment and to be able to do that. You can ask further questions if you want the system to clarify. One thing that you could ask is that to make sure that the system is not making things up, you can ask it to provide you evidence from the data in support of the theme. So you can ask the system, can you provide evidence from the data in support of the themes you have developed? So let's see. So now you see how the system is providing you evidence from the data, right? So you have to be skeptical here, right? You don't have to completely believe what the system is providing. Sometimes what you have to do is can copy one of them and search from the document and see whether you can find this quotation from participant to transcript. So you can copy, you can try 2 or 3 of the quotations and see. You just want to make sure, right? So let's look for the information and see whether you can find anything there. So let's start with participant 2. Let me copy the first 3 words and see whether I can find that. And then we look for the sentence or the paragraph. So let's see. So let's search. Okay, so I can see that information here. Now we have many more administrative. Now we have many more administrative. So it looks like the information was extracted from the data, right? So that's the good news. Let's try another participant. So let's see numerous long hours. Let me see, copy that and then open participant 1 and see whether that information is right. Just to, make sure you don't want to make a mistake here. So you see here long hours, numerous clinical and administrative tasks. So long hours, numerous clinical administrative. Okay, it's a good news. So this means that the participant quotation here were directly from the data that I provided to the system. So that's very good. So you see how it has gone through and provided all the information in support of the themes. As I said, you can make an adjustment to the themes. These are just suggestions to you. You don't have to fully follow everything that the system is providing to you. I have some other prompts that I want us to explore and see what we're going to get. So I have about 8 prompts. So we can go through quickly and see what we're going to get. So the first one is, can you generate demographic information? We want the system to generate demographic information in a table form. So let's see what we're going to get. It's analyzing. Okay, so we got all the 5 participants. That's very good. So let's move to the next prompt. The second prompt is, can you generate a visual representation showing the connection between gender and theme generated under the first research question, which is about the causes of burnout? So let's see what we're going to get. See the kind of visual representation to create for us. But you can also be specific and say pie chart or bar chart, right? Interesting. Wow, it's created a table for it, and you can easily download. So let's try to download and see. I think it would be better if we do that. Okay, so you see all the themes are here, male and female. The one means that there's a connection between, so you see the male, there's a connection between administrative burden and work-life imbalance and excessive workload. And the males are connected to the first theme and the third theme. The one means that there's a connection between the themes and also the group, right? I think that's the most important thing. You can ask the system to generate maybe a bar chart or any visual representation that you want. So let's move to the next one. Can you extract all the assets for long hours theme? When I first ran the analysis, this is the theme that I got, but it's a little bit different. So let's try to use the theme that has been provided. So let's say excessive workload, right? And let's see what we're going to get. So you can see that 3 participants were connected to excessive workload, and then these are the quotation from those participants. Let's move to the next one. Do the same for other things under research question 1. We want to extract significant information for other themes related to research question 1. So let's see what we're going to get. This is so good. It will save you so much time. And after that, you can even share this one to anybody that you want to share the conversation you have with the system, or you can save that. It will always be here. If you use temporary chat, then the system cannot save your conversation. But if you use either GPT-4 or 4.0 or maybe 3.5, which is not showing here now, then when you go to this here, all the conversation that you have with the system will be here for you on this side. So let's move to the next question. You create a table with all the themes for research question 1 and their respective number of counts and number of participants. Let's see what we're going to get. So this is where you want to know we call it, code count. The code count are the number of significant information connected to a specific theme, right? And then the case count is the number of participants connected to a specific theme. So you can see here that we have administrative burden. We have 2 excepts, 2 significant information connected to the theme, and also from 2 participants. Here, 2 work-life imbalance, 2, and also 2 participants. So here you see how it can also count and provide you information about the number of times the themes are connected to a specific statement or participant. That is very awesome. At first, it couldn't do that, but now GPT 4.0 is doing a wonderful job in helping us to do the count for us. And then the next one is, can you create a word cloud based on the excerpt extracted to address research question 1? So let's see what you're going to get. It's taking a little time to generate that. The reason why I'm showing all these things, you can ask any question that you want. Anything that is related to the data, you can ask. Visual representation, you can do a heat map, you can do a bar chart, you can do cross tabulation, or a table that shows relationship between a theme and also participants. You'll be able to do that. There are many things that you could do with this model in terms of data analysis. Wonderful. You see how, it has created a word cloud. So you can see physician costs many tags. So the bigger the font, the higher the number of times that participant use that word. If you are not clear about this, you can ask the system to explain it to you. So let's see. You can ask the system to explain it for you. You can ask, what can we learn from this word cloud? Fantastic. So you see how it has explained to you. So it doesn't only give you a visual representation. If you are not clear about the illustration, if you are not clear about the visual representation, you can ask it to explain to you. So you see how wonderful the system is. You see it has provided you the workload and the terms that they use, and also work-life balance and the terms that they use, right? All these are information that you can learn and use to as you are explaining your findings, as you are making sense of the visual representations. The last question that we can ask is, what about research question two? We want the system to do the same thing that we have done for research question one, do the same thing with research question two. So let's see whether it will be able to do that. All the information I provided is going to, so you see here, providing all the excerpts and then indicating the excerpts in relation to the themes. After you have done with research question one, you can also ask the system to do the same thing for the second research question or the third research question. See how easy data analysis has been, right? Wow. So you see how it's provided? And it's explaining the word cloud for you. Imagine how easy presentation of the finding could be, right? You have the explanation of the illustration, and then you can ask the system further question if you still don't understand, right? So this is what I have for you for the exploration part. So what we did was more about exploration because you are asking random questions and trying to understand the data to try to get all the information that you need to make sense of your data. Here, as I said, you always have to check the findings, making sure that they best represent the information that was extracted from the data. So it's like you have given a work to your subordinate, you have given a work to your research assistant. After the assistant has done the work, you have to review, making sure that everything is good, right? So you are now evaluator of knowledge. You are auditor of knowledge. You are trying to audit the information that the system has provided. You are trying to question, be skeptical, get all the answers that you need so that you can make a very informed decision about which kind of information do you want to add to your findings. The next one that I want to talk about is the structured prompt, right? Imagine that you have provided the system the background information about your data and your study. These are the structured prompts that you can ask to get all the information that you need to help you to address your research question. You can ask the system to summarize your data for you in 200 words. You can also ask the system to summarize the data based on a specific research question. And you can ask the system to develop codes. So normally when you are analyzing your qualitative data, you first have to develop codes, and then you analyze the codes to help you to come up with themes, right, by categorizing the codes. And then you can ask the system to extract relevant information based on the code that it has developed, and then generate themes, and then develop a summary table. This one is going to be very useful, especially when you are presenting your findings and you want to have the themes and the brief description of the themes and the quotation from participants in supporting of the theme on the table format. You can ask the system to do that and to be able to do it for you. Then lastly, I'm going to talk about reverse prompting. If you are going to continuously have a conversation, maybe you have analyzed this data and then you have maybe a data coming that you'll be able to analyze. You don't want to spend time to ask the system the same questions. You can ask the system to generate a prompt for you that you can use it in the future studies or future analysis. So reverse prompting will be very useful, especially if you have data to analyze next time. You can just use the prompt that the system has given to you to run the analysis. So let's quickly go through this and see what we're going to get. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is to show you how to come up with a PowerPoint based on the findings that you have. So let's start with the general summary. So we are going to ask the system, can you provide a summary based on the data that I have provided. Perfect. It's a provided you that information, right? Then you can also do a focus summary. You are telling the system to provide a summary based on the research question that you have. Another thing that you have to think about is the limitation of summaries that sometimes some unique information that is not dominant that was said by one or two participants, the summary might not catch that information. You can ask the system to provide you information that are unique but was not captured in the summary. The system can go through the data and provide you that, right? So let's do this, and then let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. This one is giving us a summary based on the research question. So I can say, can you provide me unique but relevant information from the data that was not captured in the summary? See, the system has gone through the and then provided you some information that was not captured. Information is not dominant, but it also very important. In qualitative study, we also have to think about this marginalized group or the small group, the subgroups, what they are saying. You don't always focus on the dominant information. If you do that, you're going to lose the other voice, people who are the minority, but their voice might not be captured through the summary. You have to find ways of capturing that information. That's where you ask this kind of question. Now we're going to ask the system to provide us with codes. Can you develop codes or labels addressing the following research questions, right? And then you can also provide an example for the system to know. You don't have to, but giving an example to the system helps it to know what exactly you are looking for. So let me click on enter and let's see what we're going to get. So now we have about 10 codes, and then you can review and make sure that they are truly addressing a research question. And also making sure that the system didn't just make things up. It's based on the data. You can ask the system to go through the data, identify information that are significant, and connect them to the codes that you have. So that's the what we can ask the system. Can you extract all quotations or codes from participants in support of each code addressing the following research question? Click on enter. So you see how the system has provided you codes from participant. And also, as I always say, verify. Check some of the codes and make sure that they are from the data. So the next one that we want to go through is, so this is where you want the system to categorize the code that it has to develop themes, right? So can you categorize the codes leading to the development of themes addressing the following research question? So you see how it has categorized the codes and then coming up with the themes, right? And the next one that you can do, which is so interesting that I like, is the summary table, where you are saying that, can you create a table which has the themes and their respective meaning, quotations or codes from participants, number of excerpts, and the number of participants connected to each theme, and codes connected to each theme. So let's see what we're going to get if you ask the system this way. So let's see what we got. So it has created a table for us. Can also download the table, right? Click on download and it will go to Excel. Let's see what we have. That's very good table. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So we have the themes, we have the meaning of the theme, and we have the quotation, we have the number of participants connected to the theme, And then we have the quotes connected to the theme. This one is so good. After you have presented your theme, you can have a summary table like this to help people to do a quick review of what you found. So this table can be copied and you can put it in your document and then make it in a nice way. The last point that we want to do is we want a system to create a PowerPoint for us based on the findings. Can you review our conversation, including your response, and generate a PowerPoint of 15 slides? So let's see what we're going to get. Analyzing. So as we are waiting for the system to develop a PowerPoint slides, so if you are doing your dissertation, this book will be so helpful for you. We provide step by step how to write your chapter one until you finish your dissertation, chapter 1 to 5. This book will be very helpful for you. If you want to learn more about how to do qualitative analysis, or you want to get background information about step by step how to analyze your qualitative data, this book will be so helpful for you. If you are doing a phenomenological study and you want a book that will give you foundational knowledge about how to conduct phenomenological study, this book will be so helpful for you. So let's go back to ChatGPT and see whether things are going well. It's still analyzing, try to create a PowerPoint for us. So it's taking a long time. So let's go back to the one that I previously did. As you can see here, I have the slides. So what you could do is that you can just copy and paste it on a PowerPoint, but there's another software or AI tool that you could use. You can just copy this information and then you copy the slides and go to gamma.app, right? You'll be able to create a presentation by just putting the text there. And let me show you the presentation I've created. And after that, you can download it as a PowerPoint or PDF, right? So let's go. So you see how we were able to create this, the 2 research questions and the data collection that I did. Also, the causes of burnout, it has nicely done here. You can also do a presentation if you want to use the website. You can go here, click on present, and then you can present your findings by going here. You can exit the present, and if you want to download, you can click on share, and then you can download, right? So you go to export and you can export either in PDF or in a PowerPoint form. But let me go back and show you what I did. So when you go to the home page, you click on create new, and then I have the information to generate. So I just go to paste in test. So I pasted my information here, and then I go to click on present. So you have options, right? So I just check presentation and click on continue, and the system will produce some information here for me. And you have options here to choose, right? If you want detailed information in their presentation, you can do that. If you want it to be brief in a bulletin form, in your presentation, you can check brief, right? If you wanted a condensed form too, you can check that. So I don't really change anything here. I just click on continue. And then it gives you option about the theme of the PowerPoint, right? So you choose the one that you feel reflects what you want to present, right? So I've chosen this one, and then I click on generate. Generating the 2 research question, the methodology, the format. It's a wonderful one. You can do it for your dissertation. You can put the content of your presentation here, and the system will generate great information for you to present. You can edit it if you want. You can send it to, you can edit it here. You can add slides, right? Or you can change anything that you want to change here. You can also export as a PowerPoint and then make the necessary change if you want. So this is also a new AI tool that you can use for your presentation. Let's go back to ChatGPT. The last prompt that we want to do is that we call it reverse prompting. As I said, a reverse prompting is more about if you plan to do the analysis again with a new set of data, then you can ask the system to generate a prompt for you that you can use so that you would not waste time going back and forth conversation with the system. I asked a question, can you review all prompt and the conversation we had and develop a prompt I can use in the future to get similar output? So let's see. See, it has generated this information for you that you can use it in the near future. You may have to change some of the information here, like if you are not focusing on the topic, then you have to change some, like the research question that you have and other information. So this one is just a template that we can also use for your future analysis. This is what I have for you. I hope this one was helpful. Continue to interact with the system. Things are going so fast in terms of technology and AI. It's very good for you to learn more about it so that you can use it in a way that will be meaningful for you and then accelerate your research process or any work that you do. So I wish you all the best and thank you for your time. Continue to follow me and subscribe to my channel. And I'm hoping to provide you rich information about AI and research.